All right, thank you for staying with Daybreak. We're still talking about reviving the textile industry. Let's bring in some of your feedback on SMS. Kindly include your name and where you're texting from, because most of them on 22422, you don't say who you are and where you're texting from. It's a text message, so we can't really tell based on your number. But let's bring it up on your screen right now. You don't leave a name. You say you can't revamp industrial production when the issues raised by Honorable Tiren for farmers are not looked into. Diversification of farming is fronted by many leaders killing single production. Okay. Is this another anonymous message? Oh my goodness. Okay, kindly our respectable leaders, let's be realistic. We cannot claim to be competitive, yet we wake up with policies that are not business friendly. Recently, ACS wakes up, closes the timber industry as though it is illegal. It is not making sense to deny our people opportunity to create jobs and buy timber from our neighboring countries. And that's a topic for another day, Trevor, that we'll need to delve into. Delve into that as well in the tea industry. Roche John says, Rivertex revival is a great initiative with the right production and value chain advantage if well managed. Now, like a child, explain to us how all the sugar industry parastatals are on their knees while private ones are doing booming businesses. What reforms would you recommend for Sony Sugar, for example? Ocean is very well versed with that topic of sugar. We'll give him a chance. Go on and on. Again, no name, but you say we want to know what brought these textile industries down and what is being done to prevent it happening in the future. Okay. All right, we still have more SMSs coming through. You also don't leave a name. You say, which country opens up trade to kill its own industries? Kenya's failed in protection. We had Mount Kenya Textiles, Kikomi, Thikatex, Raymond's, Woolen Mills, and many more, which are now dead. Protect our industries from cheap and substandard goods. All right, and one last SMS before we look at a few tweets. This is from Ali from Hola. Tell the panelists that there's nothing going on pertaining cotton growing in Hola and Bura schemes. Come to the ground. Well, they said it's in September. So for yourself. No, I think what he's saying is even a setup, even something that shows that you're about to start. Because we're about a month out. So if nothing is happening now, I think that's what Ali's raising. Ali, fair point. Thank you for that SMS. Let's look at tweets now. All right, let's see what you're saying on social media at Citizen TV Kenya and at Trevor Mbija at Wegamura. David Katono says, what we need when reviving these industries is raw materials, which farmers uprooted long time ago. Our leaders should go each to their constituency and start emphasizing on the need of cotton growing. Nothing is impossible. Okay, a few more, and then we have a couple of questions for our panelists. At Just BT, Kenya must be a global contributor. Kenya must find its space on the global stage. The country cannot run from the responsibility that comes with the cost of production. Higher costs will come due to delayed participation. All right. Let's see more there on Twitter, what you're saying regarding this reviving the textile industry. Kennedy Atinda says we are missing the point in doing all algorithms to hide and seek on matters pertaining to sudden demise of our industries. Hey, guess embezzlement of funds is the cause according to 99.9% diagnosis findings. I don't know which diagnosis. Okay, they did their own independent study. Yeah. One last one, last tweet. At Francis Kigondo, we keep complaining about the cost of production, then we oppose the coal project. We must face the reality that fossil fuels are cheaper in the short term and that we must use them to fast track our development. Developed countries have done this to industrialize. That is quite a... Most developed countries are closing down coal plants, but I don't know what Francis means by that. But anyway, let's bring in Akinyi on this. The main concern here is sometimes we say that we're increasing this production locally, but the people themselves want to buy other cheaper goods. Because when Rivertex, for example, gets to the point of cost of production and having the t-shirts out there and the clothes out there, they tend to be more expensive. Yeah. So I don't want a t-shirt that will cost me 2,000-3,000. I'd rather go and buy one that will cost me 100 or 200. Isn't that a main concern? Before I respond to that, I need to go back to where we were discussing. The rebuttal. You cut me short. I think for putting Bura aside, because one of the people have just tweeted and said there's nothing happening in the ground. Personally, I took my time because I'm very passionate about the fashion industry and just being a brand ambassador for my own country. Because sometimes we keep complaining and talking negative, but we have to get some people who are actually taking initiative to do some things, even without government support. So I went to Siaya, where there's Ndere Ginnery,
So I personally went there and even did a documentary there. I went with cameras, and I managed to ask them to open for me the ginnery. And when it was opened, it was pathetic. Pathetic.
When you say opened, had they shut down?
It's shut down. It was shut down long time ago. So I got this lady who is taking care of that particular compound. And the story was quite saddening. And I asked her, do you have farmers? She said, yes, we have still association of farmers. They are there. If you want cotton as of today, I can call all the farmers and they can start, if they are sure that this cotton, there is a market. And now that there's Rivertex that has just been revived, and you said that the government is also planning to revive all these ginneries, I hope SIA is part of that, and I can put you accountable. So we can be able to find out and just go to the farmers. Can we engage with the local people and the farmers and assure them that once you produce this cotton, there's a market for it? Just the same thing with avocado and macadamia. Nobody bothered about avocado and macadamia until there was a market, and then China. Everybody is getting into avocado and macadamia. So can we create, I think if there's that need, then it's going to work. If you're going to wait for Bura, I think it's taking longer. I think the first thing that we need to do is to get to the initial farmers in the mashinani, so that they're able to start farming even without waiting for the Bura project. And then we can start slowly getting cotton going to Rivertex and other factories that are going to come. Because what I just remember when saying 1 billion goes to importing cotton. That 1 billion can be in the hands of Kenyans. So
maybe what is the government doing towards this end, and especially the cost of production? I am not speaking on behalf of the executive, but I am somehow privy to some information that the government has already identified land in Naivasha, and it's for 2 reasons. One, it is a source of, there will be cheaper power from geothermal, which is more or less 3 US cents, or it will actually be subsidized. Also, we have the railway such that in terms of evacuation of the products that will be, or the finished goods that will be done in Naivasha will be easily evacuated. And lastly is the total installed power in Kenya, the total generated power in Kenya is about 2,300 megawatts. In Ethiopia, one dam is generating 6,000 megawatts. One. In South Africa, we have a total installed power capacity of 50,000. And I told you Kenya is maximum of 2.5. So some of these initiatives to get power through other means should not just be dismissed. Of course, we have a lot of potential in geothermal. Actually, it's about 10,000 megawatts. Would
you power through other means? What, coal?
Yeah. No, even nuclear. To me, I have no problem. If we are able to install the nuclear generation power and you protect it, especially in Mombasa because of the water and all that.
The environmental impact will be immense.
The countries, even developed countries, have nuclear power. Honestly, as long as it's properly installed. We need to go beyond what other countries are just saying that you should not venture into this, because we need to get cheap power into the country. No question about it. We have to generate cheap power as long as it's well protected. Though we have geothermal. If we are able to tap the geothermal power that we have, which I said is a potential of 10,000 megawatts, then definitely it will suffice and it will help. But before we get that geothermal, then we also have to look for other sources of cheaper power, because power accounts for about 50% of the cost of production. So for me, or from where I sit, I think we also need to go beyond our comfort zone and look for cheaper power, because without that cheap power, and with us now signing to ACTF, which is African Continent Free Trade Area, then we will become a market, just a market for other products from other countries.
Because our cost of production will remain high.
Absolutely, because South Africa will access our market, Egypt will access our market freely. So we also have to devise ways and means of also becoming competitive.
I think to get out of your comfort zone. I think. Do you agree with that?
I agreed with Mheshimiwa to the extent that he doesn't tell us that coal is an option in this century. the world is advancing away from it. And I know, I would say without equivocation, that to start coal plants that we want to start, the Kitui one and the one down in Lamu, are just to be able to edify a few businessmen. It's not right for the country. And here I speak as the United Nations Environmental Program young envoy. It is not right. We must put conscience ahead of business. And we must verify. This is a country that is solar rich. We have not even done anything with the solar we have. We now want to say that we are too brilliant to now generate nuclear of some sorts when we cannot utilize God-given solar. I mean, are we serious?
But the cost
the cost of solar installation is far cheaper.
No, it's 8. The feed-in tariffs of solar is 12 US cents.
I absolutely agree. Without solar, even without the feed-in tariffs of solar, we are already doing 15 US cents. Without it, 12 would be a welcome blessing. Why don't we utilize it, come back to 12? So I think there are things that we need to agree to. I absolutely agree in advancement. I am a proponent for advancement. We should not be lagging behind as nuclear energy becomes the next thing globally. But we must be able to demonstrate that we can utilize what God has given us before we go even into those contexts. Yeah. Now, if you allow me, let me say, someone had already intimated, of course he quoted 99.9%, which is his own imagination, which points to the crisis that President Kenyatta has been trying to fix, you know, for which I really must commend him. The crisis of fixing corruption and mismanagement. And whereas Mheshimiwa Kipruto was saying that I am bedeviling the civil servants, that's not what I meant. What I meant is there is a level of malaise that sets in when people know that over time, our companies in the manufacturing sector have been given money. They could do much more with it, but they have squandered it. Directors of the board, CEOs, top management, then what has that done? The net effect is that it has led to lethargy within the people who work in those industries. So that then they don't see the need for it. And they will tell you, we've been here for 30 years. You know that even in the media, there are other media outlets who may have just as advanced equipment, and you wonder what is not going so right. Because it's government owned, and it's that attitude. So we need to fix our attitude. It's something we have to be alive to, and we have to be real to do that. But besides that, we need to see those who have crippled some of these organizations being taken to jail. I was very happy when the DPP's office prosecuted perfectly the arrest and final jailing of the finance director of Kenya Re and the CEO. There has to be a level of justice so that this malaise doesn't set in, this lethargy is dealt with. They will see that we can work hard again and it will count for something.
It will count for something.
But as we do that, the cost of farm inputs is another thing for farmers. And the timeliness of those inputs. You do not show up with fertilizers for farmers when the rainy seasons are gone and they have nothing to do with it, but just to keep it. Simply because government has bought it, a middleman has made income, it has come late, no one is punished for that late coming. And then we end up with the farmers who are in this situation. So we have to agree that there are things that things will have to change, be tweaked. They have to be tweaked so vigorously and so brutally that anyone who seems to stand in the way of it must be overrun by it, legally and any other way.
Okay.
If we do not do that, then Kenyans will know it's just a cycle of mismanaging some of these things.
Changes.
We will go to Rivertex, we will buy a high-end equipment, we will try and do this. Then, tomorrow, in a year's time, when we expect to harvest our first boom of cotton, someone did not deliver the manure in right time, the fertilizer, the inputs were not delivered at the right time, so we have ended up with our projections was 10,000 tons, we have ended up with 3,000 tons, we want to blame it on something else. Until that is fixed decisively, it counts for naught. But now, can I address the sugar guy?
Yeah, because we have to take a break.
There is no way that the sugar industry is going to make money. And it's not just importation, it's about shrewd businessmen. The cost of production in Uganda, which is around here, and Sudan, which are the highest producers of sugar, the cost of production is of course lowered. Some by factors that can be done by government, mostly really. The buying of new equipment that do not consume a lot of power is one of the key things. Our sugar industries have obsolete equipment. The cost of power is steep, so we end up using many millions of shillings to pay Kenya Power. The cost of labor is something else. We are not able to touch that. We are not going to tell people salaries must come down by half. But there is also importation by shrewd people, not importation of genuine and legit sugar. Because if you imported legit sugar from Uganda and from Sudan, the prices will be more the same. But when you go to Brazil and you utilize the COMESA agreement that allows trade in COMESA, and you let that sugar dock somewhere in Zambia, and you then use it as though it's sugar from Zambia, yet it is not even safe for consumption. It was sugar meant to be dumped and thrown away. You've gotten it for free. You come and sell it here for 60% less the price. You're killing industries. And some of the private sugar millers, I dare say, have been accused of using those routes to get sugar into the country. So what people consume is sugar that's not safe for consumption. They look cheaper. They then cripple the sugar industry. Why? Because for farmers, they will go where they feel they are paid. What they don't know is that some of the millers are sugar laundering.
Oh, wow.
So it will take some decisive.
The sugar sector
we have to bite it where it hurts.
Yes.
Yeah, now we're talking about the revival of the river textile industry. I will come back to the sugar one. We have to take
a lot to say. Can we take him after the break?
Let's take a quick break. Let's take a quick break, then we come back and get the final remarks really quick.